welcome to the $1 Billion Podcast, a weekly show about the entrepreneurial journey and making it big in any industry. We're your hosts, Joe White and Kane Daniel. Welcome to the $1 Billion Podcast. Today, we're thrilled to introduce Doreen Walsh, a seasoned veteran in the mortgage industry. Hi, Doreen. Great to have you with us.
Oh, hey, Joe. Hi, Kane. I was looking so forward to this. This is going to be a fun time.
Absolutely. Doreen's extensive career includes underwriting residential mortgages at CIBC, managing defaults, and delivering a national underwriting training program. Actually, for 17 years, Doreen excelled at First National Financial, managing a residential sales team across Ontario and Atlantic Canada, and overseeing an amazing $5.4 billion portfolio.
And since 2019, yeah, that's very impressive, Doreen, but we're not done. Since 2019, Doreen has held the position of Vice President of Network Development at Dominion Lending Centers. She has been celebrated as a woman of influence twice by CMP, and she also gives back to the industry. She served as director on an association board. So welcome, Doreen. Thanks again for being here.
Hey, thanks, guys. This is great. All I was going to say is, it seemed so big at the time, $5.4 billion. And I mean, I think First National is even bigger now, so let's face it, our housing prices have gotten bigger as well, right? So that helps increase that whole portfolio. That was a great time. But, the opportunity came up with Dominion Lending Centers, and hey, I jumped at it and I'm loving it.
So we're glad you did.
Yes.
But let's go back. Let's go back in time a little bit. Maybe tell us, Doreen, how you started in the industry. Like, what prompted you to get in, and what was your story?
Well, my cousin had a job at Confederation Trust, and then she got me one. So, for those of you that have right, that's how I started in the industry. And quite honestly, I've never left. I think I was 21 at the time. That was back when there were 1,000 trust companies, right? Like you had Huronia Trust and Central Trust, Guarantee Trust, Financial Trust, Morgan Trust, But when the industry went topsy-turvy, I guess, in, the late 80s, early 90s, and don't get me wrong, I think I entered this industry in somewhere around 92, if the math's right. But trust companies started shutting down. They just weren't able to weather the recession at that time, and it was pretty bad. So from there, let's face it, what was left? The four banks, right? So I ended up at CIBC and stayed there for about 7 years. I think banks are a great training ground. That's it. When you want to spread, that's right. When you want to spread your wings and you want to start growing yourself. And even if that's not, going on the broker agent side, if it's going on the lender side, you learn so much more at a smaller company because you're expected to work and pull a lot of weight and, do your thing. Whereas that doesn't always happen at the bank. So that was me. Once the recession was over and things were looking bigger and brighter, I had the opportunity to go to First National and jumped at it. And 17 years later, if you can believe it, July is going to be 5 years for me now at DLC, which is crazy. But the upside is, with DLC, I get to work with you two. So here I am today.
Yeah, that's amazing. I remember Kane and I talking about when you made the move. And it seems just like yesterday when I was looking at the date that you made that move. What, in 2019? Really? It's amazing. And you know what? You went to a brokerage, a large national brokerage like DLC that interestingly enough, when you're talking about volumes, does more volume than the banks do in mortgages. So you definitely went to a fantastic brokerage. There are several, but you chose a great brokerage.
Absolutely. I feel that way too. They're the number one brokerage in Canada for a reason. And it does remind me a lot of First National because, as I said, our head office is small. You pull your weight. You make things happen. Our number one clients are our agents and brokers. We are there supporting them in all sorts of different ways. So you can wear a few hats, when you're at Dominion Lending Centers, and I've now moved to the Dominion Lending Centers group of companies. So I get to work with the Tri brand that I just love. So including Mortgage Architects and Mortgage Center Canada.
DLCG.
So what do you love about the industry? I mean, obviously, for people who don't know you, you are probably the quintessential people person. You have like an infectious laugh. You're always upbeat and smiling. And is it the people in the industry that you like dealing with the most, or is it something else?
Well, it's two things. I love people. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I get my energy surrounded by people. And yes, I love to laugh. I love a good time. It's very rare I'm in a bad mood. It's just, hey, I was blessed with a great nature. But besides that, I find this industry, you have great autonomy. You can make it happen, whether, again, that's on the lender side, on the brokerage side, or being an agent or broker yourself. If you're a go-getter and you want to move ahead, that's doable. The sky's the limit as well when it comes to income, because everybody wants a pro. Everybody wants, that racehorse. And so when you can do those things and you're able to, and especially bring that, experience along with you, that you're able to pivot into, wear a few different hats, that comes off and pays in spades. In regards to, when I say pays in spades, I don't just mean monetarily. I mean feeds me, feeds my intellect, feeds my soul, feeds my those goals, everything that gets you up in the morning.
We talk a lot about how wonderful this industry is and how many great people are in it, and how many veterans are out there actually helping new agents in different ways. So there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for a really amazing community to be joining when you come into this industry. But I'm wondering, Doreen, when you came to DLC, and we mentioned it's 5 years, wow, it's pre-COVID even, right?
Right.
Was there anything that coming into that, in sort of seeing the new agents now come through DLC, was there anything that surprised you about that, or anything that you think that you saw that was interesting about those coming in?
Well, it's so funny because for years and years, it was always the same people in this industry, and there were new people that were hired. But I found that, I don't know, I don't think they got up and running quick enough. I think the numbers of successful agents years ago were much smaller. Today, and because there was a real sink or swim mentality in this industry. So today, there are all sorts of things that I know Dominion Lending Centers has set up to help, agents in their success. It's not a sink or swim. And in fact, it reminds me a little bit of an employee-employer. Years ago, I would interview an employee, ask them all sorts of questions, look for that right fit, figure out, who I thought was going to do the best job. And that, of course, would mix with the gang. That's not all today. There's a second part of that interview today. They now interview you. What is it like? How quickly will I move ahead? What do you have to offer me? On and on and on. And that's the same thing on the brokerage side. If you're not talking to new agents and you don't have that strategy for their success, they will go to a brokerage that will. So, when we say, and we trained our clients, to ask about rate, years ago, brokers just asked about pay. Now today they know better. I'll give you 100% commission, but if there's no training, 100% of nothing is nothing. So I've seen a real change in regards to what people are offering and what they're asking for. Yeah,
it's really important, isn't it, to be able to teach somebody how to farm in this industry. It's one thing, we talk about in sales, hunting and farming, and
Right.
You're a hunter, you go out and you you tend to kill what you eat what you kill type thing, and then you move on to the next one. But to have longevity in this industry, like yourself, you make connections with people and you work your database, and it's all about those connections and relationships. And Doreen, when it comes to training people, you're well recognized as one of the leading trainers in the industry. What do you feel is important for a new agent to get trained on first, or close to first, to be able to really be successful in the industry early on?
That's very funny, because I was actually thinking of the first part of that conversation there, your question, where, the hunting and farming, and that actually goes hand in hand with the end question. It's really, really important when we talk about hunting and farming. Hunting, you can go out and find clients, and great. We used to years ago just be transactional. Do that deal and move on. The big thing today is our CRM. That's the farming, and that's what they didn't do years ago. So we teach them today to constantly stay in touch with that very first client, because, often I'll say to agents, look, that's what differentiates you. You're not in for the term. I'm in this mortgage until you're out, and that's all part of the client experience. I think what's really important today when you're working with agents is not just setting them up for success, but understanding, look, I'm going to give you an action plan every day. It's going to include podcasting for mind setting. It's going to include making your phone calls, a social media content grid, an education piece. So when you outline all the things that they need to learn, they're not just learning one thing specific. They're learning how to do that. And then having a mentorship program, or having an office manager, somebody who's there if you get a deal, to help you walk through that. So when you're supplying underwriting training, most commonly asked questions, all the scripted answers, nobody's ever going to, if a new agent is saying, okay, well, I'm not going to make any phone calls till I know everything, that'll be about 10 years. Pick up the phone, make some mistakes. To me, oh my God, you made a mistake. Great, you're growing. Just get out there and start doing it, because this industry is changing so fast. Seasoned agents have to constantly update themselves. So really having an agent understand, look, get out there and get your business, and you're not alone. You've got support. We'll walk you through that. Plus, every single day, you've got that outline on how to grow and what to do going forward in all aspects of the business.
Doreen, you mentioned, I think you said so many important things there. You mentioned CRM. Do you want to just explain a little bit for those that maybe don't know what a CRM is, right, or the importance of that?
Right. So CRM is really you're staying in touch with your existing clients. So a CRM system allows you to, constantly update your client, whether that's about what's happening in the industry, having a flyer about housing, wishing them a happy birthday, a happy mortgage anniversary, reminding them to come back in and sit down and talk to you. Everybody goes to their doctor for a yearly checkup. You should be going to your broker for a financial checkup every year. Is this mortgage still working for me? Has our situation changed? Have you accumulated debt, or can you be saving more? So that CRM keeps people coming back to you. And also what happens is you want your marketing to grow legs. So I get a piece, I'm out Saturday night with some friends, and of course what's happening in the financial landscape right now, a variable comes up. Conversation, should I go and do a variable? Shouldn't I? Next thing on Monday, I get an email from my agent talking about variable. I'm going to send that to my friend who I was with Saturday night. Hey, take a look at this. We were just having the conversation. Make sure your name is on everything, because you want, as I said, your marketing to grow legs and go to their circle of influence. And if somebody's talking about buying a home or doing something, I want my clients to become my advocates. With sending your clients and keeping in touch with them, you can turn them into disciples, an inch at a time. And so they're out there. When you get a client referred to you as an agent or a broker, those clients are less likely to shop you. They already trust you. They know what you do somewhat because their friend has told them about you. They've already done the sale for you. So that's why CRMs, and I know Dominion Lending Centers has spent a ton of time and money and research building Velocity, which is our delivery system, which has a CRM also attached to that. And it's great. We've introduced something called Gold Rush, which is a constant contact for all of the, there's a huge amount of renewals coming up in the future. And you want those clients to understand, don't sign anything until we sit down. What might look like a great rate today probably won't feel like one in 2 years. So what's our strategy for that? So that's why CRMs are so important. Not only do they keep in touch with your client, they expand your opportunities with those clients' circle of influence.
Love that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack with what you said. I think it's super important. I think for those looking to enter the industry, that they're looking at what technology can set them apart, can really illustrate who they are and their brand. And
right.
As I think what you're saying is that they're becoming a trusted advisor and how technology can help them communicate that to their clients. I'm wondering if there's anything else in your experience, especially now at DLC with the recruiting of new agents.
Right.
Is there anything that you believe or that you can see in people maybe early on that might set them apart, and then you could maybe point to them and say, yeah, they're probably going to find that success as maybe those that might not have that?
I love this question because it drives me absolutely nuts. And here's why. I think people think they know who's going to be successful. They don't. I will go back to even my experience hiring people. I had some great interviews with people. I thought, oh my God, they're dynamite. And they were the worst employees. Maybe they were great interviewers for a reason. And then I took a chance on other people, hiring them right that they were green because there was something about them. And they were amazing. Thinking that somebody's going to be successful doesn't always turn out. I've looked at some people and thought they were going to be pros in regards to being an agent, and really disappointed that they've not, didn't have that grit and hustle that I thought they had, or didn't have that, ability to get out there, to learn, to get clients. And then I've looked at other people and thought, this is amazing. I don't know how you're successful, but you are. So what do you Yeah.
Yeah. What do you look for? Like if you're interviewing with someone or you're hiring someone, you mentioned grit and hustle. I mean, those are things that you're obviously looking for, but that may be realized or not. So what are the kind of the parameters that you're looking at?
Well, the parameters that I want to know that they want to do this job. That's the first thing. And that they understand that they are business for self. Thinking, okay, if I do all this training, I'm going to get business. No, nobody's going to knock at your front door and go, oh my God, here you are. I've been looking everywhere for you. Can you give me a mortgage? You have to understand that not only are you the pro, not only do you have to do, understand mortgages, have a strategy, have a business plan, have an action plan. Then you got to go out and find your own business. So there's a little piece of that. But I always say to people, because an agent will ask me, what do you see in a successful agent? What should I be doing? And I say, look, you will attract your own tribe. I will attract people. You opened up and said, my energy and my laughter. And that is my secret weapon, is my connection with people. Somebody else is going to be all about math. They'll attract people that want to sit down and do all the math and do all the numbers. Somebody else will be all about contracts, and they want to go through the contract and do this and do that. So there's enough business out there with different types of personalities. You will attract the people. Everybody is not for everybody. If I had two agents and one said to me, hey, we're going to sit down, let's book an hour and let's go through this contract. And another said to me, hey, I've got you a great rate. I got you a great product that matches. We're going to get this signed and then go for a beer. Who do you think I'm signing up with? Going through a contract is not my jam. But it will be someone else's. So when you bring your skill set, when you bring your strengths, everybody will have different ones. But what won't change is the fact that you want to be successful. You want to do this job, and you need to understand that you have to be successful in all aspects of it.
Yeah, and you know what? I guess it all begins with making sure that everybody knows who you are and what you do, and then gravitate towards those who you have that type of relationship with, or you can build that type of relationship with. That really is great advice, because I know, with what we do in the educational aspect of it, there are some people that are incredibly intelligent when it comes to what they need to do, how to underwrite a mortgage, but they lack the ability to go out there and be personable enough with people to develop relationships with them. And,
Right.
it's not necessarily this industry isn't for them. They sometimes gravitate towards just strictly underwriting or in back office type positions, but you really need to hone that skill of being able to go out there and talk to people. It's just like, being at a networking event. Everybody
Right.
wants to talk to each other, but everybody's afraid to start a conversation. And these are the types of things that once we realize, right, you can overcome them.
Right. You can be an introvert and think, I'm not like these social settings scare me. Well, then you'll really have to lean into marketing and education and different ways of getting that business. And not to say that you never have to be social. Yes, you do. If you want to get to that next level, let's say presenting to realtors or doing lunch and learns or talking to people, you can have success, but you can't do nothing. You can't sit there and wait for the business to come to you. If you really are an introvert, lean into the ways that you can get business. I know some really great marketers, that will send out really great pieces of information. And this is what people are wanting. Right now, the consumer is starting to figure out, that there's more to a mortgage than a rate. I always say, look, we've not done a very good job in this financial industry. And when I say financial industry, I mean banks, trust companies, mortgage agents, brokers, mortgage specialists, whoever offers a mortgage. We've kept the public real junior in regards to the education. We advertise rate all the time. No kidding. People come in and go, what's your rate? It is our job to provide the answers to the questions our clients don't even know to ask. Somebody can say to me, a friend can say, I've got a great rate. I'd say I've got about 10 more questions. Then I'll let you know if you got a great rate. It's not just rate. So yes, again, sorry, I can go off topic on every single conversation because I love this. But as far as going back to the original conversation about, you do have to somewhat become a little bit of an extrovert. You don't have to love it, but you have to do it, some of it. And I do think that if you don't do it, you will hit a wall where you will not become more successful, because people like people. They want to deal with people. They want to, I want to see a set of eyeballs. I want to have a conversation. I want to have a connection.
Yeah, we talk a lot about this after our course as well. We offer the mortgage course. We talk a lot about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, creating those icebreakers. Right. So when you are in those situations, you know how to start conversations, knowing your value, like having your elevator pitch really down pat so you can comfortably have those conversations. Yeah. And then also getting behind a camera a little bit and putting yourself out there if it's for you, for example, on social media and other places, so that you become a personality. And like you mentioned, it really is, it's not B2B or B2C, it's just human to human, right? And that's one of the ways that I think that mortgage brokers and agents can really compete with banks on that level, is the human connection level. So all of that stuff, do you think it's still going to be as relevant in 5 years, in 10 years, maybe more relevant with the emergence of technology, for example?
Oh, I totally think so. Listen, if I'm signing a contract for $1 million mortgage, I want a set of eyeballs looking at me going, you are approved. You are doing the right thing. I don't want to put something into, a computer. And let's face it again, we can look at something as simple as income. Somebody working overtime thinks, this year I got a T4 for $80,000 because I put in so much overtime. I make 80. No, you don't. If you can't give me 2 years of that, no, you don't. Or somebody who's business for self and goes, I make 200, and you get their T4 and it says 34,000. They don't understand that. So you still need absolutely hand-holding. You still need, and as far as I'm concerned, we are in, the germination stage of educating the public. They only know about mortgages. There is so much education out there to be provided. People have to understand posted rates. People have to understand what their options are. Somebody says, oh yeah, I can port my mortgage. Right. Okay. So what are the rules around it? What do you mean? Do you have to close on the same day? Is there a report and increase? Is there a report and decrease? They don't know any of this stuff. And that's the point. So I do see, once we educate the public even more about mortgages, they will realize how much more they need agents and brokers. The other thing is, in the very short distance, if we're talking about our financial landscape, we are looking at getting into shorter terms right now because, again, we do see rates coming down. Now, how far down they will go, who knows, right? But if you're offered a rate today by a bank and think, oh my God, I'm 20 basis points less than everybody else, you won't feel like that in 2 years. But you'll be locked into a 5-year term and then try and get out of that. With the banks, I always say, look, there's 2 rates on a mortgage. The one you're going to get going in and the one you're going to get going out. And the one going out is not there to support your exit. So, that's why we hear about people with really big penalties. I feel like mortgages are a little bit of the Wizard of Oz. Let's pull back the curtain now and talk about the other 27 pages of that contract that you're signing. So I do think in the future, I think right now where rates are concerned, that's obviously people are looking at a shorter term to see what plays out in the future. And I think in our industry, providing more education will just be providing yourself more opportunity. And I do think FSRA, let's face it, FSRA's got teeth. We never saw the kind of action going on with FSCO that we are seeing with FSRA. And I like it. I like that.
Now, for those that don't know, FSRA is the regulator in Ontario that regulates brokers and agents.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they're taking a harder stance on making sure that the public's protected and making sure our industry is protected. And I love that.
It's such an interesting point in Kane's question there. And when you were talking about, having that personal connection with someone, it often happens, doesn't it, where someone is looking at their trusted advisor and, especially in this type of transaction where they're buying a house or they're refinancing the house, oftentimes the question comes up, do you think this is a good idea, right? And they want some additional advice from another human being, that understands maybe the situation they're in. And that's something that you're not going to get from ChatGPT or some online type of AI that can definitely tell you about mortgage rates and products and so on, but can't look at you and say, you've told me about your life, you told me about what you want to do and where you want to go with your life, and I think this is a good step in that direction, or have you thought about something different? And that's something that technology at this point can't do. And when it does get to the point that it can, I don't know what will happen to humanity because we'll be obsolete. But we're not now.
We're not now. And that's exactly, I'm looking for an expert opinion. And that is completely lacking from AI. AI will give me the policies, the procedures, the explanations, but it is not going to match me to this and say, this is the right decision for you based on the information you've told me, where you're at in life and what you're going to be doing going forward. There is not that connection right now. So
I think it just to add to that, in addition, at this point, and who knows how much longer, it doesn't have the capacity to really engage with the human spirit and bring the emotion and everything else that we need as humans. So, but at this point, right?
Absolutely.
You know who else doesn't? You know who else doesn't? Really are the banks. The banks don't have that ability to be that trusted advisor. In my opinion, when you go to a bank and you're talking to your bank about getting a mortgage, they're offering you what they have on their shelf of products to provide to you, and they're going to try to shoehorn you into one of them. And whether it's a good idea or not, I mean, you know what, Doreen, we could talk about this all day because they're just not anywhere near as trained or as knowledgeable as mortgage agents and brokers are.
Well, there's a couple of things there. First of all, you're right. Mortgage agents and brokers are subject matter experts. We don't sell 40 different things. We don't sell visas. We don't sell, just all the different things that go along with working at a bank. The next thing is you're right. There's also been a change in the banks because, when my parents used to go to CIBC on the corner, everybody knew who Mary was. I wasn't even of age to get a loan, but we knew who Mary was because my parents were going to see Mary, about their renewal or about, the car loan or about whatever. Mary worked there for 20 years. I can walk into a bank today and talk about, what my, situation is today, how I'm going to build my family wealth, my goals of tomorrow, have that conversation, and 3 months later go back in to do something and that person's not there. Banks are transactional. Agents are really there for the life of the mortgage to follow. They know exactly what your plans are. They know what you're looking to do, and they're going to make sure that mortgage that you go into can pivot and support any change in your life. So, I'm a big proponent of that because, it's not just about, we're not our parents anymore. We don't stay in the same homes for 30 years. We don't stay in the same jobs for 30 years. We are going to want to move and selling and or renting or refinancing for investment helps to build our wealth. I bet most of my parents wouldn't even know what a refinance was. So we are different and we need that support. And with that support is included a long-term relationship.
I think this is really important information, especially for those that are considering this career, to understand, what the value of a broker is versus, for example, like we're talking about the banks. Doreen, do you think that there's any, based on your experience, do you think there's any other common misconceptions about the industry, especially for those that are looking to come in to the industry as a new agent?
Sure. I talk to people all the time. I go, okay, well, so if I work here, can I only look after, this territory? No. If you're an agent and you've got a license in Ontario, you can look after all of Ontario. That's the first thing. The second thing, they say, well, isn't there a lot of agents? Oh my God, no. Take a look at all the banks, take a look at all the branches, take a look at all the mortgage specialists, take a look at all the realtors. We actually have the smallest amount of people representing mortgages, and we have the greatest opportunity. So I do feel like sometimes agents are, think that, they're not going to get their share of business. Oh my God, there's so much business out there to be had. It's not even funny. Mm-hmm. Just figure out what your skill set is, what your niche is, and go with that. And whatever job you did before, there will be something about that job that you can bring into being an agent or a broker. If it was all administration and paperwork, great, we have that. If it was all customer service, great, we have that. If it was IT, great, you're going to fit into. So, you do multiple jobs being an agent. You need to make sure that the company you work with provides great training, has great IT, whether that be a CRM or a delivery system, has the marketing to support you. So there's all those different things that you will get support in. But again, the sky's the limit. And, agents coming in, all it is fear. It's fear of change like everybody else. And Kane, going back to your comment about get comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah, that's where all the growth is. Go for it. You'll be amazing.
And just along that line of thought, based on what you're seeing now, what do you think a typical day, you touched on this earlier about the role changing a little bit of an agent since you started versus now. What does it, maybe a typical day look like for an agent or broker, especially those that are maybe starting out new?
Absolutely. I always say, look, you need to be educating yourself. If I don't care how seasoned you are. If you're not educating yourself, you can't educate your clients. So I always, first thing in the morning, I love a great podcast. I can be brushing my teeth or, dressing my dogs. Yes, don't judge me. I
dressing your dogs.
Anyway.
Isn't it dressing yourself and brushing your dog?
That's no, brushing my teeth and dressing my dogs.
Okay.
She got it right.
Oh, in the background, I always have something playing, whether that's an economist and I'm listening to what's happening in our landscape, whether that is somebody that is talking about building a business and just feeling like I need that mindset, because building a business is hard, right? And you want to make sure that I'm getting up every single day with that correct mindset. But I always have something in the background while I'm doing this, because it's amazing what you'll absorb. Making sure you have to use social media is the new advertising, but it doesn't take a long time. You just have to be consistent and make sure that what you're putting out there is, intentional. Whether I'm supporting some of my collaborations like realtors or financial planners, whether I'm providing education about mortgages or just information about myself, because people want to work with people they know, like, trust, and connect with. So, I'm not giving away all my life secrets, but I'm having people get to know me, and I'm supporting my community. So I do the mind setting from 7 to 8 while I'm getting ready. From 8 to 9 is a lot of my social media. From 9 to 11, I'm making my 10 phone calls every single day. Because
so sorry to jump in here, because I have to ask you, what does the mind setting look like for you between 8 and 9?
Again, it can be listening to an economist, listening to building a business. So
is it something that just gets it's like exercising your mind first thing in the morning to get it limber for the day?
Right. I want to know what's happening in our landscape, whether, if it's something like the Bank of Canada is changing rates, or they have changed rates. I'm going to listen to a number of people talking about that, talking about what's happening in real estate, talking about what's happening with our Canadian dollar, talking about rates. Then I might pivot and go, you know what? I just want to listen to, something about the psychology of people, or how to get really good at marketing. Sometimes I'll wake up and think, you know what? I'm exhausted. I want to listen to Oprah's soul sessions and listen to somebody who came up from nothing. Right. So it just depends. I'm not telling you to listen to an economist every single day. What I'm telling you is feed your mind, feed your soul, feed whatever it is to keep that business going. And that's what I love. I have a series of different podcasts that I follow that I think are great, that feed all of those different aspects that I'm looking for.
Yeah. Have you always been, it sounds like, what I'm taking from what you're saying is you have some discipline and
yes,
structure and you maintain that.
Absolutely.
Have you always been that way? And if not, what is it about, what changed to allow you to maintain that discipline?
Well, let's face it. I didn't grow up listening to podcasts. They weren't a thing, or the internet wasn't a thing. Right. So you grew up, my Irish father was like, somebody's paying you, you work every day. So I just got up and went to work and learned there. But as things became available and things shifted, you can just learn so much quicker. And I love to learn. I don't think I will ever stop doing that. Even, when I hit retirement, I love feeding my mind and soul, all of it. So that's a big part of my life. I love that structure. I know that I'm getting things done when I've outlined my day. Now, listen, everybody gets a wrench thrown into their day, or there's days where I have a full golf tournament, or, and not that those are a lot, but you know what I mean? You're going to have a day where you're off. A wrench gets thrown into your day. That's fine. Stop everything. Hey, look, family first. You got a sick kid. It's over. Go pick up your kid, go home. Or, a deal's on fire, or something's happening. Always take care of that. But the next day, get right back on it, because that's what keeps us consistent. That's what keeps us producing. That's what keeps us moving forward, not just ourselves, but our business. I'm a big proponent. If you are, unrealistically consistent, there's no way that you can fail. You will grow. You will get business.
Sounds like, if I'm thinking about this, it's also helpful in thinking about, you're talking about throwing a wrench into things and things will go wrong, a deal goes on fire and things like that. I guess it would also be really helpful to be part of a team or culture, working with other people who are there, understanding what you're going through and being able to help you out. Because, in this industry, like many industries, you have great days and you have bad days, and I think one of the great things about this industry is that when you're part of a team, you're there to support each other. And when somebody else is having a bad day, you can lift them up. And when you're having a bad day, you can lean on them for that support. Is that something that you find is helpful in our industry for successful people or people coming into the industry as well?
Absolutely. And listen, we can go into a little bit of the psychology of people. Everybody wants to belong to a gang. We call it a team. Psychology calls it a gang. You want to belong. You want to feel like you're surrounded by people who are supporting you. Then we can go that much deeper where they say, look, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So constantly finding those people that will help not just you grow, but will support you. And not just in the way of business. Support your growth. Support, when you're not feeling it. Pick you up. Everybody wants to belong to a gang, and there's a reason for that. We just do better in life and in business when we're supported by people supporting us.
Yeah, well said. Well, really well said.
Doreen, you said a lot. I think that's a ton of value there especially for those new coming in, to understand that there is community, that it does take some grit, does take some discipline. I think that's really important to understand, that it's maybe not for everybody, that there is an entrepreneurial side to this as well. It is your business.
For sure.
And so I think those things are really important for them to know coming in.
Right. I will say, it's really hard to say who's successful, but I will tell you who's not successful. I have sat down with people who have said to me, this is not for me. I'm just not getting business. And I've gone back and said, okay, show me what you've done. Show me what you do every day. Show me your call log. Show me. And they have nothing. They're not successful for a reason. It has nothing to do with the industry. It has nothing to do with who they work for. If you are not doing the things you need to do to be successful, you won't be.
Yeah, and that's a brilliant piece of advice. I mean, in the fact is that in any job that you have, in any industry that you're in, you have to put the time and effort into it. Even if you're getting paid an hourly wage, you got to go to work and you got to push that broom or sling that shovel or whatever you're doing. Right. So you might as well, if you think about this, you might as well get into an industry that, as you mentioned right at the beginning, has pretty much unlimited income potential. Right. You might as well get into an industry like that and do what you got to do. You just need to learn what you have to do, and this can be. It's such a fun industry.
Oh my God, totally. And I will tell you, I see it all the time. The kiss of death is waiting for that deal, waiting for the phone to ring, waiting. Hey, nobody's coming. Get up, pick up the phone, go somewhere. Right. Stop waiting. Don't wait till you know everything. Don't wait to do any. Waiting that will be your death. And
you know what? I was single for a while, and I realized that sitting at home, waiting for the girl of my dreams to come knock on my door and say, I don't know where you've been all my life. For some reason, that just never happened to me. I had to go out and try to find someone. And it's the same in everything in life, right?
I knocked on doors. You didn't answer. Come on.
Because I was expecting the right person to actually break in and come right to my chair.
Like Kool-Aid Man?
You are. I'm looking everywhere for you. Perfect. Well, this was so great, guys. I love this. Let's do this every day.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that you have to have fun in what you do. But I was thinking about this not long ago, and with the concept of, do what you're passionate about. That's part of the equation, right? Do what you're passionate about. If you like to paint, and you spend all day painting, you're probably not going to make any money.
Right.
So if you can do what you're really good at, and there is a formula to become really good in this industry. It's I hate to say it, it's not brain surgery or rocket science. It kind of diminishes the efforts that people put into it, but it's not something where you have to go and spend 10 years learning how to hone your craft. You just have to be able to be yourself and be concerned about other people. And then, like when you deal with yourself, when somebody's dealing with you, soak up the training that you provide for them, and then they're going to be good at what they do.
Something we didn't touch on is I think that, I don't know why we didn't talk about it, but that benefit of this career, of being in this industry, is that you do help people. And there's some really amazing stories out there and some really great feeling that you can get when you help people and you're able to see those results, in addition to the unlimited income potential. But actually helping people is a huge driver, a big reason why we see people coming in and find that success.
Absolutely. So it's twofold. And it's just going back a little bit, Joe, to what you said. When you talk about having an elevator pitch with agents, I have an elevator pitch. And I say to new agents all the time, listen, I build bosses. I will give you the roadmap to success. You just need to bring the hard work. And that's where people fail. I will tell you exactly what to do from 8 to 9, 9 to 10. Do this, do that, make your phone calls. Here's your education time, blah, blah, blah. They don't do any of that. It's the waiting thing. The people who do, Kane, to go to your answer, oh my God, we can, yes, the sky's the limit on building a business and earning income. And at the same time, you help people incredibly. Somebody walking out of your office is more educated, has a level of comfort. Some of them are buying their first home. That's life-changing. Some of them are in an existing home, but you've just helped them get ready for retirement, something they never focused on. You are going to have people leave your office laughing, happy, and crying because they feel like you saved them. And I'm going to get paid for this? Amazing. And not just that. I've met some friends in this industry that I will never let go of. They're just amazing people in this industry. So it ticks every single box.
Well said. Well
Love
said.
that.
So, Doreen, we're closing in on an hour, and I know that you have a busy schedule and you have to get out there and help these folks coming into this industry. But before we go, do you have anything else that you want to share with us? Any words of wisdom or tips that you'd like to share? I know that might be putting you on the spot.
You know what? We covered so much. Honestly, if I would try and I would sit here trying to quickly make something up. I don't have anything off the top of my head because I said a lot of the things that are always very important to me and very important to a broker. The last thing I'd say is call me if you're a new agent. But besides that, we're good. Awesome.
Well, Doreen, it's a pleasure as always talking to you. You are a ray of sunshine in an already bright industry, but you're always such a joy to have a chat with and to hang out with, and whoever is lucky enough to work with you, you definitely, in my opinion, you enhance their careers. So, thank you very much for being with us. We absolutely love it, and we're going to do it again. We're going to get into some of those stories because I think we all have some personal stories to tell about clients and so on. And making people cry or
Absolutely. We could take any one of these topics we just talked about and turn that individual conversation into an hour. But
absolutely.
Yeah, this was so great. And so easy. So, the flow of this was amazing. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Doreen.
Thank you, Doreen.
Thank you.
Take care. Thanks for tuning in to the $1 Billion Podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode.
For more in-depth entrepreneurial insights, follow us on social media. And for more info on the show, go to billiondollarpodcast.com.
See you next time.